Hello, this is Benjamin, and I'll be your guide today about learning the basics of your ChatBridge admin program. Let's go ahead and start off with the very basics. How do you log into ChatBridge admin? Pretty simple. You'll use a variation of the address that I've got highlighted in the address bar now. The actual address that you'll use is talk.chatbridge.io/webadmin / and instead of dashboard, it will say login. That, of course, will bring you to your login page. It will ask you for your username and password. Your username will be your business email that you use on a day-to-day basis, and your password will be whatever you have been assigned. Now, if for any reason while you're using this program out in the future, you forget your password, or the first time that you log into this editor, should you get an error that says your password is not accepted, you can use the forgot password option underneath the username and password fields to reset your password to something that you'll remember anytime that you like. Now, before we get started on the bulk of the training, let's get down some basic definitions of all of the roles involved with this program. First of all, what is a ChatBridge admin? A ChatBridge admin is usually a senior member of your staff given the responsibility using this program to control all of your operators and their actions within the program. Now, what is an operator? An operator is the employee or employees that you have chosen to have correspondence or chat sessions with your customers that are coming from various pages of your site. Now that we know a little bit more about the roles involved with this program, let's get started. First, we'll go ahead and take a look at the information available on the dashboard. The dashboard is the first tab that will always be open when you log in. Its main job is to display statistics on traffic crossing over your site. First, in the blue graph up top, we have both unique and returning traffic on your site based on the time parameters that you choose up above. And just in case you are not familiar with what unique means in this circumstance, it means visitors that have never been to your site before. Down below, we have a further breakdown of the information we saw on the blue chart. For the last 7 days, we can see the total number of chats that transpired in between the unique and returning visitors, total page views, and then of course the ratio of unique visitors to returning visitors over to the right. Further down, it breaks it down even further. Based on the time parameter that you pick here, today, the last 7 days, or the last 30 days, you have the final breakdowns of information. Sticking with today or a 24-hour period, you have the total number of chats that transpired during that 24-hour period, the average wait time, which when they say wait time in this case, it means the time between your customer filling out the initial chat survey and that operator getting a hold of them and asking them what they want, what they need. Response time. This is the time after the customer types in their first question that the operator gets a hold of them with an answer. This is a breakdown of your traffic of both chats and people that are just visiting your site based on the platform they're using to access it, either their mobile phone or a desktop computer. And then, of course, average handling time. This is the time in between the customer or the operator initiating a chat, the questions being answered, and the chat being ended. Basically the time it takes for your operator to answer the customer's questions on average. And then, of course, service level. If this is anywhere below 100%, it means that that particular customer did not get one of their questions answered. And if you do decide to implement multiple operators for your business, the who's answering will give you a total percentage based on 100% of which operators are getting and answering the most questions. And then down below, you have the active map. Now, the active map will show you an actual token or colored pinpoint of where your customers are chatting to you from if there is currently a live chat taking place between an operator and a customer. Now, to further understand what an operator is, I honestly think the best course of action is just to go in and add in an additional operator for this business. So let's journey down to operators first. And in the center of the screen, we have our two operators. Now let's go ahead and add in a third operator. So we'll go into the upper left-hand corner within this red circle and click on the addition symbol. Login. This is going to be that individual's or employee's business email. So for today, let's just call this Tracy at place1.com. Name. This can be the person's full name, their first name, or if there's a well-established nickname for Tracy, you could put that in as well. For today, we're just going to make things simple and just say Tracy. And then, of course, the password. Now, something interesting about this software, there is literally no requirements for the password, not for length, not for uppercase, lowercase, special characters used or numbers, nothing. So it could be anything that you like. I'm going to go ahead and use a simple yet effective password. Bear with me 1 second. And we'll go ahead and hit next. Okay, now here is where you are assigning an operator to a queue. What is a queue? Well, a queue is simply from where on the site is this chat coming from. Now, this particular business is a very small mom and pop shop. So they decided to only have one queue, the general bucket, if you will, that all of the customer questions are going to flow into. If this was a larger business, they could have multiple queues, such as general would be questions coming from the homepage. The service would be questions coming in for the service department from the services page on the site. And of course, e-commerce, which of course would be questions only from the e-commerce pages on your site. These queues will be set up when you get in here for you already. Today, we'll go ahead and assign Tracy to just the general queue. And we'll click on the blue save. And now we have Tracy there. Awesome. Now here are the general settings for Tracy only. We have the name, which of course is their email, the password that is already set, but of course it doesn't display it for security reasons, and the alias. Now just keep in mind the alias will be displayed on the site when a customer or this operator decides to initiate a chat between the customer and operator. Operator avatar. By default, the color of this dot as it displays on the site will be picked at random. And the T where that comes from is it is the first initial of the first name that you put in for the alias. Now, if you would like to go one step further, you certainly can. Use the upload cloud symbol that we have right here to upload an image of this particular employee at your business, or really any picture that you like if they're not comfortable using their face on the site. We'll scroll down to the bottom and we'll talk about chatbot settings briefly. Now, what is a chatbot? A chatbot is an AI or artificial intelligence that if you were to go down enable during your out of business hours, this chatbot would do its best to give a automatic reply to your customers. As of right now, we feel as a group that it is best to leave this disabled because we feel that these chatbots, as of right now, are not smart enough to give adequate responses to your customers. We'll go ahead and click Update. Now, the last thing that you're going to want to do is go in and define the rules for each queue. In other words, the rules globally for every operator that is assigned to that queue will in fact have to follow. So for this, we'll click on Sites, then the name of your page, and we're going to click on Queues. And this will pull up your general settings for the queues. Oh, excuse me, we do have to click on the gear, my bad. And here are the general settings for the queue. Do not worry about the website integration portion of this. When the setup has gone through and it is complete, essentially what your individual that set this up has done has taken this piece of script and embedded it somewhere on the home page in order to enable that chat bubble in window to show up on your home page. The name of the queue, which is General. Next, we have Max Concurrent Chats. Now, something that's slightly counterintuitive, I feel, is that if you leave this at 0, instead of the maximum number that each operator, chats an operator can have being 0, if you leave it at 0, it means that they can have as many as they want at a time and be talking to as many customers as they want at a time. Now, if it was me and this is a small business and you know this operator, I would leave it somewhere between 1 and 3. But for today, I'm going to go ahead and leave it at 0. Request timeout in seconds. Now what this is going to be is after there is no responses typed by either party, the customer or the operator, this is the time in between no responses and typed and the actual chat window timing out, which means that neither the customer or the operator after this much stall time can type in a response. If it were me, I would do about 60 seconds or 1 minute. Something that you will have to establish is, in fact, the business hours of this queue. So we'll click on business hours. Great. Now we'll go ahead, and it looks like there are already hours defined here, but so we can do this from scratch, let's go ahead and delete these hours. Doesn't seem that it's going to let me. So we'll go ahead and define new hours. We'll hit plus. Okay, first we're going to want to say enabled. Then we're going to want to name this group of hours. Well, we have weekday, so what about weekend or the hours for Saturday and Sunday? So we'll go weekend. And now on weekends, instead of being open from 8 to 6, you're only open from 8 to noon, let's say. But you don't want these people in your shop that have other duties to be on this chat the entire time. So you want to give them a bit of leeway. So what you'll want to do instead is instead of starting at 8 a.m., let's go ahead and start this at 9 a.m. to give them an hour of leeway in the morning. And then, of course, since you don't close at 6 on the weekends, let's say that you close at 3, let's go ahead and go to 2 p.m. instead to give an hour of leeway on each side. Days active, we're going to make this Sunday and Saturday. We'll simply click in the empty white space up here to exit that menu. We're going to want to click attendance only. Otherwise, those chat bots will try to butt their way in. And then we'll click save. And now we have hours defined, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And now we have our hours defined for the weekend as well, Saturday and Sunday. Awesome. Let's take one step back. And the last thing that we're going to talk about today is, of course, our second to last thing that we're going to talk about today is surveys. Now there is 4 surveys. Pre-chat is the one that your customer fills out when a chat is initialized either by the operator or by the customer on the site. You can see that you can define each one of the labels here, number of fields, and whether it is optional or required. You have during chat surveys that you can send out, after the chat, and of course for outside those business hours you have an offline that you can do as well. We'll jump back. And the last little piece that I will touch on for right now would be your Facebook settings. If you would like to integrate it so that all of your chats coming from both of the various pages of the website and your official business Facebook, you can actually have this set up with some help of your contact to actually bring in those messages from your official company's Facebook as well. That is all I have got for you today, folks. So I want to say thank you for your time today. There will be further, more in-depth trainings on this software in the future, but this has been Benjamin presenting the ChatBridge admin software. Thank you.